Let there be light, and there was light. Okay, so we're back. I am Crimey Queen. If you're watching for the first time, this is where we have fun with words and numbers, numerology to be precise, of course, and with reference to the King James Version of the Holy Bible, specifically King James, because it is a book of numbers. And there is in the Bible, well, in all Bibles, you will find a book of Numbers. Well, the book of Numbers, I have tried reading it, yes, a few times, but it's all those names. It'd be interesting. I would love to get this. I think there's a numerology software that you can just calculate all kinds of things. You put it in. I'm told about it. I haven't seen it, but I think one day. Okay. So we have been exploring the 14 gods of Genesis, and of course we have done the God who set. Yes, there wasn't much more on description about the God who set than we thought there was a test, because we look at those words by deconstructing, or the elements or functions of the gods by deconstructing the word. Okay. And we also have done the God who breathed, the God who, I hope I've done the God who breathed, because there would be so many words in the God who breathed, but I have worked with the word breathed, and of course I'm going to try and link all these videos together, because I felt that the words that came out from the word breathed was really quite a lot to show so much of the functions of course, the word breathed. We've done the God who made, we've got the God who saw, because, or have I? Because I have worked with some of these words before. I'm trying to ensure that I have not repeated the exercises. Okay, but let's work with the God who created right now, because I have done the word create, yes, but for this purpose of the gods functions, to exploring and understanding their makeup. So that's the exercise we are doing. And the purpose of this exercise is really to reflect that the 14 gods, their functions had been in existence even before we could say that Mother Eve had really was the one responsible for eating the fruit and made us sinners and so on. Well, I believe there is a purpose or significance to the word sin as well, as I have done, because the word in, which sin is a derivative of sin here. So sin, for instance, this word is the very first word used in the scriptures. Now, considering it is part of the word sin, it does make one wonder why, of all the words, that this would be the very word that would be chosen to begin the scriptures, to say in the beginning. Now the S here, for instance, is really the S is really the symbol of Mother Eve. So that in itself is saying that Mother Eve is very crucial in the beginning. Now we hear about, of course, we can see the S is like a serpent as well. And what I have concluded in meditation with Mother Eve is that whenever we see an S, and it may be in a negative or positive connotation to or how we perceive it, Mother Eve is present. That's her symbol right there. The thing is, it's that we need to be the ones to begin to extract the wisdom that is being conveyed in those words. So even in the word Satan, for instance, Mother Eve is Satan in this sense. And it does make me smile that once upon a time I would never have want or feel that I would have the not just the courage, the thought perhaps would not even cross my mind to say that Eve and Satan was the same. But Mother Eve has revealed so much wisdom right here. So when we speak of sin and to say that we were born of sin, this is another way of understanding the word sin, that it is Mother Eve's signature, that in the word in is really beginning and end, meaning there is no end and no beginning, we could say. And you could see this as, this is like, this reminds me of the YouTube actually. So this is like the tube, YouTube, or you could say a button that goes, there's a button and it tells you whether it's on or off. So there's a tube, so you would move this going that way for in or out. So this would go in or out. So this is what I'm talking about. But this is the tube. This is the tube right there. So Mother Eve, again, it's funny that I'm saying it's the tube, because Mother Eve is like a tube. The serpent is a tube. And that tube right there entails so much. So this is the tube. Mother Eve is the tube right there. And that's the tube, of course, that goes up the spinal cord, which is a tube, because it has to facilitate what it's like, the spinal cord and the serum, the serpent up the spinal cord. So that's Mother Eve. Okay, but really we want to talk about the God. In fact, just to finish this point here, why I said beginning and end, the word 9, because I is equivalent to 9 and 5 is equivalent to N is equivalent to 5 in numerology. So of course adding these together equals 14, and this gives us 5, which is also like a serpent. The 5 is also like a serpent, but it's formed a rigid head. So this is where it's like showing the aspects of male and female right there. Okay. So let's look at create, C-R-E-A-T. It feels like I have done create, but we'll do this again, and who knows, something new might come out of it. So first of all, the word ate is out, because that's what, again, a lot of the things that we have learned, that Mother Eve ate of the fruit of good and evil. So there we see that the word ate is here. The word eat is also there. Now the word crate, C-R-A-T-E, C-R-A-T-E, or the word treat, T-R-E-A, well, there's only one T. Okay, so let's just keep it simple. So talking of tea, there is also tea. Create, so teas, no wonder we're very hot on teas, but the British are known for teas. Yeah. Okay, so crate, and we have rate. So there would be a business rate, because the rates or inflation or all those things seem very present even in the word create, or as it is today. Okay, and rat, we have rat, and that's why I say there's always a rat and there is a ta, ratata. I think that was it reminds me of something I used to watch or play, or a story with my child, so my son. So ratata, so we can see where the rat in that, even in that song, perhaps that's what was being highlighted in the creative part. Okay. Tier, this is an interesting word right there. It means that there would be reaping, the aspect of ripping and tearing, or even our tear from our eyes, that was already there from the word create as well. Okay. God created. Oh, it's two T's actually. Created. Yes. So no, create. No, there's a D. It's the D was missing. Okay. So dear, the word dear is there. D-E-A-R. Of course, the word air, E-A-R, where we can hear. These are things that are so important that we can pay attention to in knowing. When we talk about create, it brings us to a place of thinking consciously of our actions and what we are doing, what we are thinking. Okay. Read. That's interesting because the word, of course, Mother Eve is there. When we speak of read, we are speaking of Mother Eve because she's the said God. She's the God of words, of course. And in the beginning was the word that we get from the New Testament. Okay, so read or read, and we have chair, we have it, we have it, we have or perhaps you could send me some words telepathically as well, because that is very powerful. You might just find I'm doing the very same word that you are thinking of because you're communicating that with me. Oh, this is really wonderful. We're having fun here. Okay, so mm, ta crate, we have crate already, we have writ, read, and et. Just feeling there's met, we ought to tier, ta. Okay, I'm sure I did get many more words on this. Dear, we have dear, we have air. I can see something popping out, but it's not quite clear yet. Rick, well, am I doing with created? Okay, created. But these are words we see. So create would be dealing with what one would need to put in some produce or merchandise or packing things in crates. So we could see that it's almost like it was thought of when with the Garden of Eden, that there would be in the Garden of Eden there would be a business, because it seemed like, as I said in many of the videos, where Mother Eve was like a businesswoman, and she had been the one who gave or really let the business of mankind, of creating, of making, of forming, of blessing. These were lettings to the gods, but she was Lord of Lords, and she let those businesses. It was in letting those businesses that it seemed that I don't know why I'm feeling there might have been a conspiracy to overthrow the feminine power, and then we end up with the patriarch power to really rule the world or the earth. So I'm thinking that's what had happened. And we see the word ta, we see the word rat, but in all essence, as I say, is that it's important that we always keep in mind as well that something really catastrophic could happen. Then we are the result of this new or the new people or the new man. Now we are also we have ended that new man. We are all that man that was created now have ended, and we are now in a new man, because that is in the Latins, which I meant to do. It's in the Latins of Mother Eve, that where Mother Eve now says, let there be light, and there was light. Because Mother Eve had the power to do that. Mother Eve knew what was necessary to make those things happen, to make Earth become alive again. Mother Eve knew that. So in essence, she was the one to say, let there be light, and there was light, and let the waters bring forth, let the firmament, or let the waters be divided from the firmament, and let the waters from the firmament be divided from the waters that were under the firmament. But in essence, when we read those Latins, which were 8 Latins, or I say Latins, like there's the word, okay, they were being like auctioned out, you could say, to people or other individuals who would take on the role to making that happen, to making the water come forth, or to making the division happen, to divide the waters from the waters. So there was Mother Eve making the commands of what should happen. But it's not to say that Mother Eve had been powerless. But as we see, like today, because there we see the word contract. For instance, I use that a lot in explaining that Mother Eve had given or made contracts with those gods, and being to her word, so to speak, she had not broken those contracts. But when we hear the word con, we know that it's almost like the word coin. The individual have to fit themselves in the word and say, and really call it a coin, C-O-I-N, and attract. So attract could be like a we see like a pamphlet, or attract that something to follow. So there's the word contract. But as Mother Eve always say, remember to include yourself in there. And by including yourself in here, for instance, you are forming this in. The word in becomes like you are in the beginning and in the end. You become conscious of your presence or awareness in this tract. Now we can see, for instance, when back to saying when God created, there was all those things were in there. We see in the business world, we are always saying, dear Mr. Smith, or we would have tea, invite others for tea, which would be a producer of the land. We would have crates for packing and exporting or importing or delivering the goods, the tea. There would be a rate, so that means that there was a cost. One would have to hair, like they to air. Of course, the word air also brings to mind the word air as AIR. Of course, it is all the same. And there, of course, rats were always around. There's always a rat, because the rat attribute is the one that is doing the conning, we could say, the one that is behaving like in a selfish way, we could say, oh, there are other aspects to the rat, which is also good. The rat also eats away or consumes that which is not good. It's doing a sort of cleansing. Well, should I even say that? That would be debatable. But I was going to say it recycles. It recycles the waste. The tar would also be a form of concretizing something, because tar is dark and sticky and can be hard. It also works with temperature. The tear, of course, so tar and tear in this sense. Tear also really tells us that, like even when it is said, by the sweat of thy brow thou shalt live, the word tear has, of course, so many connotations to it. When something is ripped, and of course, perhaps our emotions get ripped while we have a tear. And there's the word read. One would have to be able to read the lines or the track right here. So it's important so that the reading was necessary for the track. All those things, and the coin was there. Of course, we can see the word I is not included in the word created. In fact, I just see quite a few of the words is included in contract. So the word create, oh well, there's not an E. Okay, so the word E is almost replaced by the letter, sorry, the letter E is almost replaced by the letter I, we could say, because they sound the same. Okay, so we could then say that it is included right there in contract. Now, when we see the word contract as well, it kind of makes me think of the snake, the boa constrictor, for instance. Oh, there are so many of those of the snakes, but it reminds me of that, where or all the snakes, in fact, where they shed their skin, and you know that where you find the skin, that the snake has tread that path. So there is another track as well. And of course, with shedding the skin, it's like showing two sides of the coin, where it is got its thick skin and where it bears its new skin. So there we are with the word create. So basically, in the word created, I'm sure there is much more we can do with that now that we have the word, we have included the letter D. Deities on there, of course. DATE. That's a wonderful thing too. So a date was included, which means that we were given a sense of season and time, just like Mother Eve said, let the days before signs and seasons, the days before signs and the years before seasons. So we could see that date really came into play there. Okay. Yes. And well, we have that, well, okay. But basically, the word create, and as I say, I'm going to explore the other words that I have done on the subject, or the other videos, and try and link them together, so that will give us a clearer perspective of the God who created. There we are. So this is the function of the God who created. There were crates, so it was like a business, and we can see in that exploration that there was the elements of negative and positive, we could say, or we could also say nothing really is negative or positive. But I think looking at the word rat, ta, but in essence, as I say, even with the ratata story that I feel I remember vaguely, that it did used to make me laugh. So everything has its positive and negative. It's what we really make of it, and so is the whole story. But we have had to follow the tract of the contract. In essence, we have had to go through the period of the contract. Now we have come to the end of the contract, and Mother Eve has put it this way: this is the contracts have been ended, and there are new recruits to be the gods of the new lettings, where Mother Eve says to the new gods, now let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Are we going to be mindful of what sort of man we are making, or what sort of are we going to make man in our own image and likeness, or make sure we are including Mother Eve's characteristics, or being mindful of Mother Eve's characteristics to make man in our image, inclusive of Mother Eve, after our likeness? Or would it be like Adam when he made man in his own image and likeness? So this is the thing we need to be looking at and being mindful of. Hence, the whole story had gone in a circle, and we could not really decipher who was the God who created. We felt everything was just with one God. Of course, Mother Eve was very aware of what was happening, because like every business person, you don't become shut eye on what is happening. You feel okay, you have signed the contract, and you have honored your word, and you know it's for a time. And of course, you know, of course, the capabilities and the minds of the people that you have led the contract to. So even if they have not gone to specification, as you had said, but you know that the outcome perhaps is very divinely designed in such a way that it will work out perfectly in the end. That's Mother Eve. That's Mother Eve. Hence it is said that the serpent was the wisest of all creatures. Of course, the word creature here again is very much part of the word create. So C-R-E-A-T. So creature, create. So we can see that being that creature would be the one who created, was creating actually of the creature, perhaps not so mindful of what he was doing. Okay, thank you for watching. I hope you like this. I hope you would have fun at least. If you like this presentation or any part of this presentation, click the like button and share. And because we are planting new seeds, of course, as I say, we are creating as well. We are creating a new world. Now I can say we are creating a new world. So we have to be conscious of what we have or what we are to say we are planting new seeds. Okay, thank you. Let there be light, and there was light.